Hey guys. My name's Briar. Something that was really put on my heart since the trip actually was how we went to Mexico and we built these houses for these people that like barely had anything. And we walked in and we didn't judge them for not having anything. We didn't say like, how come they don't have this stuff or whatever. And we just went in and we had the open mind to help them, and that was all we were. We were just servants to them. And I just think that's a really big thing in our life today, because a lot of the time we're just judging people in our lives. When we come home, there's a lot of people that we see that may be doing stuff that we don't agree with, that we don't really recognize as something we relate with, and we just immediately judge them right off the bat, and we don't really recognize them as people too, and we don't really understand what they're going through. And I think it's just a big deal that we always need to have that helpful mindset that we had in Mexico, because I understand while this was like a trip that we were just trying to show God to others and trying to just do a nice thing, we should always be in that mindset that we need to be helping others and need to be servants to other people just like God was to us. And I think it's such a big deal because there's so much going on in our lives nowadays and so much going on just around the world, and people are changing and there's so much contradicting beliefs and opinions, and we shouldn't just be judging people or changing our minds about people all over the place when really everyone just needs our help right now. And there's so many people in this world that are struggling and they're trying to find happiness in all the wrong places. And so that's why I think it's just a big deal that we should be helping the people that need us most, not just when we're on these trips, not just when we're in Mexico or when we're at Hume or whatever. It's just such a big deal because there's so many people that need us most, even if we don't recognize it or even if we don't understand them ourselves. We need to always have a mind that I believe is rooted in helping others just like God did. God came and he served us even though we didn't deserve it. And so while we may think that not everybody else deserves our attention, our love, because they have different beliefs or they have contradicting beliefs to us as Christians, we still need to have that mindset that we're trying to bring them to God, not just divert them away. So I feel like that's such a big deal that I really felt was put on my heart at this trip, because we walked in and we were told, don't make a blah face at the house that they have or whatever. But do you go to school and do you see people that maybe like dress differently than you, have dyed hair, have different beliefs, and you're like, yikes, like I would never get involved with that, and you just turn away? Or do you go up to them and you're like, hey, like, do you want to come to church with me? Or just something like that, because I think that's such a big deal. Or even just starting it small and being like, yo, you want to hang out? And just like stuff like that, that could really help get people into the church and help you be a servant to them and get them to God. So that was put on my heart.
Okay, I'm starting mine. Hey, please be quiet. Thank you. I'm starting mine with a story. Okay, so we were in Mexico, and I was painting a wall, obviously, because I painted. And this little girl came up to me, and she was like talking to me in Spanish, and I was like, I have no idea what you're saying. So I went to Mia. Thanks, Mia. Shout out to Mia Lewis right here. And I was like, brought her to her, and she was talking to me in Spanish for a long time. And then Mia left, and then she came back, and she told me that this little girl had asked how their family could get a house.
Oh, and it wasn't the little girl.
It wasn't that one. It was a different one who had a different family who they couldn't even fit in their house, and they had nowhere to like live all together. And so she came, like, first of all, she had the bravery to ask. I would have been actually petrified. I wouldn't have come to ask. But she came and asked, and it was just like so eye-opening that there are like, that's just how that community is. And there's just actual real life people. Like, I don't know. I feel like I know there is poverty in the world and I understand that, but seeing and getting to know the people who were like experiencing that was crazy. And like Rachel was saying, like they don't come home and like take a shower or come home and like sleep in our nice beds that we have. Like that's what we gave them is like the nicest thing they ever have. And now every time like I do anything, like I get in the shower or I go to bed or I walk around my house, which is so much bigger than theirs. Whoa, sorry, that sounded really weird. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Or even, I was even just, like, when I look at the sky, I think that I've actually cried multiple times since we've gotten home, thinking, like, that's the same sky they're seeing. And, like, that's, like, I'm living such a different life than that. And, like, I don't know, looking at the sky reminds me of how there's so many different people in this world and how everyone lives a different life. But that they were so blessed by us. I don't know. Wow, that sounded weird again. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, that's all my stuff.
Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't planning on saying anything because I was really tired, but the verse of the day is actually the verse we talked about. And I was like, now I have to say something. I felt obligated at this point. So I'm gonna just read John 15, 4-5, and then talk about it a little bit. So it says, "Abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit, for apart from me, you can do nothing." And I think that that's just so, it's so eye-opening, because in this generation, I think that we live in a generation where it's, people feel so lonely, and people have this sense that, I'm alone and there's nobody there for me, and I got to work it on my own, and, it's my journey, it's my path, everything I do, I'm the one that's going to make it the best for me. And I think this verse really kind of blows that out of the water. It says that, apart from me, you can do nothing. And I think that really makes you evaluate in any walk of life, in any journey you're going through, the highs, the lows, especially the lows, whenever you're trying to work through something, it is so important that you turn to God and you turn to the Word, because that is where all the truth is. And people will say there's no objective truth, but there is, and it's given to us. It's right there. And the Bible is not that complex, right? It is written out for us in a book that we can read. And it is so simple, yet it seems so complicated. So it's just, it's really like eye-opening to just see that it's that easy, but we overlook it. This generation really, so many people seem lost, and so many people seem that it's impossible, but it's really not. It's really just, you have to trust, you have to believe, you have to have faith in him and abide in him. And that was kind of the whole message of the trip. But if you really do abide in him, he will show you the way, he will give you the light to the path, and it'll be the right path. And, you're gonna go through lows no matter what. Sometimes it'll take you through the valley, but you'll get to the top of the mountain and that view will be great. Our view up on that hill was great. The ride there was pretty bumpy. Sometimes, if you missed a little bit, like that steep hill, the first time we're going up that steep hill, Mark missed part of that concrete ribbon. The whole back of the van went, you could, it was, Jaden was going, turtle, turtle, and then it was like, it doesn't work, It's a journey, and then you get there, and then you build the house, and it's all fun and just so beautiful once you get to the end of it. So, I don't know, I think it's just a good reminder to, sort of trust the process, believe in him, have faith, and walk it through. There.
Okay. Okay, so on the way up to Mexico, we were listening to a bunch of different music and karaoke and all this random stuff. And as we got closer to the house and the build site, we started to listen to more worship music. And one song just kept repeating, repeating, and repeating because we didn't change it. And it was Gratitude. And one of the verses is, "All my words fall short. I got nothing new. How could I express all my gratitude?" And that just going into the trip and realizing the families that we were there, they were grateful for anything we gave them. We gave them a soccer ball, they played and they were really happy. Or we could go and they came and painted with us, and that gave so much joy to them to come and help us. Or even just the house in the end. And I opened my Bible, and one of the verses was 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18, rejoice always, pray continuously, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. So it doesn't take that much to be grateful, but I feel like we always take for granted what we really have and what we really need to be grateful for and have like gratitude in our heart, which is what God gave us. So I think like just going there and realizing like how much they were grateful for with how little they have, we just need to like implement gratitude more into our life, like coming home, and that's like something that I've really just taken from this trip. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Joseph, in case you don't know me. I'm gonna be honest. The environment that Mexico was, with all the kind of rundown shelters and everything, I kind of find those environments, like, at first, they seem kind of cool to me. And I was talking to my dad about it, and he's like, you would think it'd be cool to live like that for a few days, but after a few days, you're gonna start noticing the problems that are affiliated with those types of environments. And I don't know. The other thing is, I noticed like everyone else is like, I noticed I was the only one with a giant sun hat, sunglasses, and a jacket worn the whole time. And I noticed I was one of very small amount of people that didn't get sunburnt too. And hold up. And I think the way we live is kind of like the way I was up there. Like, I feel like we're all clothed and protected, and everyone there might be looking at us like, what are you doing? What are you doing with a jacket and a sun hat? You guys are so weird. Like, anyways, but yeah, differences matter.
Joseph, he let me use his sunglasses when I was building the fire, and it was so helpful, and he was so kind for doing it.
I'm not. So how's your sunburn? It's gotten better. So at Hume, we basically have a thing called like the camp high, where like you feel really close to God, but like once you get down, it kind of fades away and you get back to your normal life. I felt like after Mexico, it kind of stuck with you more. Like, you tend to remember stuff like that more, because I feel like it's kind of the whole like doing missionary work for God. It kind of brings you closer to Him. If you haven't done missionary work before, do it. It's really eye-opening. It's an eye-opening experience. Yeah. It's an eye-opening experience. I recommend like pretty much every believer to do at least once. That's about it. I mean,
Okay. I don't. Hola. Okay, I don't have very much to say, but before going on the trip, it's like super easy to get in the mentality of like, yeah, I'm going to be manual labor, like working for God, like, yeah. But I felt like for me personally, it's so easy to go on these trips and treat them like you would treat Hume, or like you would treat, like, I don't know, like a retreat, and treat it as like, yeah, like fun time to like make memories with my friends, like, I don't know, like have a good time, take a break, relax. And I think after going on this Mexico trip, it really emphasized that like Mexico is not like that. It's a totally different environment, a totally different like vibe to it, because you're not there only to be like manual labor, to hang out. You're there to be like a living vessel of God's love. Like you're there to share what he's done in your life and the privileges and benefits and like, I don't know, just all the great things that he's given you. You're there to spread the love to the people that aren't as fortunate. And I was just, the last day we were there, the little girl from our house, Samantha, like came up and she like would not let go of me. Like she was attached to me and she was crying and she was like, I'm gonna miss you so much. I'm gonna miss you so, so much. And I was like, oh babe, I'm gonna miss you too. But then this morning I was thinking like, yeah, of course I miss her. Like she was the cutest little girl I've ever seen. But like, I don't like, maybe in a few years, like I won't remember her name or something. Like I'd love to say like, oh, I have a perfect memory, but my real memory sucks. Like I might not remember her name, or I might not remember like specifics of the trip. Because in my future, there'll probably be more Mexico trips, more memories to make with my friends, more Hume, more time here at this church. But for them, they only get one house. Like that house is their future. That house is forever for them. And so I just think it's so special that we got to be a part of giving them this like foundation in their life, because especially for our family, the Lopez family, I don't think they were believers. Am I right? Right, Mark? Okay. Like this house is like the like quote unquote foundation of their new faith. Hopefully, like this is such a great opportunity to share some of the things that we've given with other people. That's it.
I didn't really have anything planned to say, but I feel like one thing that I really learned on this trip, oh my gosh, I ran out of air as soon as I got up here for some reason. It was just interesting to me. Something that I usually hold quite a bit of stress and anxiety around is like health and like feeling safe. So going on this trip, I know Peyton was also really concerned that we were like going and we were like terrified to go down there, because you hear all these things about going to Mexico and how dangerous it is, and just the idea of being in like almost like a third world environment where it's like they don't have running water and the things that we have. It was just really eye-opening just to get to go into an experience like that, where instead of feeling like I always can call for help if I need it, call 911, you know, or like not letting my nerves get the better of me, really came to a head on Friday when we were doing it. And you know how when you fill out the waivers, it's always like last tetanus shot, and you're like, I don't know, like random date. Or for me, no. I think, no. Hey, hear me out. I didn't do that. I did not do that. I do not condone doing that. I put NA because I didn't even know when the last time I had one was. But being the person that I am and getting overly anxious around things like that, sickness, whatever, on Friday we were building and I was carrying drywall, and someone had taken a board off the window and put it nail side up by the front door. So I was carrying this and I stepped and I was like, oh. Like something is in my foot. I don't know if you felt that in your foot before, but yeah, the nail, it was more rust than nail, I feel like. But it went in my foot. So I realized we still had like 2 days till or at least the rest of Friday, Saturday night till I was even going to be home. And I started like, when I start getting the anxiety about it, like, oh my gosh, I don't even know when I last had a tetanus shot. I'm going to die, you know. No, it was actually a really good experience for me to get to just give that up to God and be like, look, if that is your plan for me to get sick from this, or, look. I don't know if you guys don't have anxiety. Maybe it's just me, but no, getting to just, honestly, it was a new kind of peace. I don't know if I've really gotten to experience from God before, because I had something that I felt like in my mind was a tangible reason to feel nervous, but because we were getting together and we were just worshiping and we were still serving, it didn't even really come into my mind. It wasn't something for me to stress about, because I knew that God was working in it anyways. And that has to do with both like health, like I was nervous about that, but also safety, going and feeling like this is going to be so scary. But as soon as we passed the border, the entire time I never felt unsafe once, which was so awesome. And I know it was a stress for a lot of us, at least the parents. But yeah, it was just amazing the way that God gave me that peace, both in health and safety. Dex has a comment.
Throw that piece like that, because that was the siding piece, right? Did you throw that behind the house afterward?
I think we turned it upside down and pushed it a little further away.
Because I stepped on the same nail.
Did it go in your foot? Bro, that thing was hunting us down. But
That's the story.
Rachel's got a photo of it. Anyway, bottom line is, one big thing that I'm taking away from this trip that I'm thankful for is just getting to know that at the end of the day, we're all in God's hands, right? And what's going to happen is going to happen. And it reminded me of a message Mark gave a little while ago when he talked about like when you're starting to feel anxious. You can focus on your worry, or you can focus on what is true. And so that's all I did for this trip, was just like, in this moment, I am healthy. I'm surrounded by people. We're worshiping together. And it was great. And it was a great experience. So I'm thankful for that, even though it was sketchy. It was great. So Mexico was really cool. And I going from being so scared, I was like, man, I almost wish I could like go to the middle school ministry instead, you know? Go. No, like, because if you guys, those who don't know, they go to a mansion and they just hang out for like a week. Totally exact opposite trip. But I can now say, having done both, that the Mexico trip is so much more beneficial for your life and for your faith that I can't wait to go next year. Yeah.